Hey everyone, another edition of Off the Top Rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. A lot of Royal Rumble reaction still coming in. We had Monday Night Raw in Cleveland, which was great. Great environment. A lot of good stuff on last night's Monday Night Raw, or depending on whenever you watched it, it was Monday Night Raw following the Royal Rumble. So, big thing here that I want to address. So, Charlotte Flair comes out to address her WrestleMania situation and she gets booed out of the building, which I totally understand. Let me be clear. I don't think that this was some sort of an atrocity of a booking decision. You can go watch my video. I used the word disappointing because for Charlotte to get her second Rumble win in 5 years just feels a little bit excessive. Um here's the thing. Um the problem is there really wasn't another obvious choice. And maybe that's a reflection of how they've built up these women's division. And you have Rhea Ripley as a champion, you have Tiffany Stratton as a champion. Those could have potentially been other options as well, although Rhea's already won a Rumble. So Io Sky was the only other person legitimately, and I threw Jordan Grace out there, but I didn't really think that Jordan Grace was going to win. It would have really shocked the system. I mean, all those guys are in another company now. But Charlotte Flair was probably the obvious choice, and really there wasn't a better option, I guess. But I think we're having the wrong conversation about Charlotte in terms of, oh, is she over? Yes, she is over pushed. But here's the thing. Let's go back in time. If you guys can visualize with me, let's go back in time to 2020, right before COVID. Charlotte wins her first Royal Rumble. And Shayna Baszler made a big debut at number 30 in that match. And everybody knew that Shayna was going to get called up to the main roster and she was probably going to face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. We all know how that played out. Becky ended up getting pregnant and was off television after she just basically effectively gifted the title to Asuka, who had won Money in the Bank that year. But anyway, the consensus from a lot of people within the wrestling community, a lot of people forget this. Shayna should have won that match. She had 8 eliminations in that match. She was a killer in that match. That was the best version of Shayna Baszler that we have ever seen in WWE. And for whatever reason, Charlotte won the match. And then she went on to challenge the NXT champion Rhea Ripley, which from a lot of perspectives didn't make any sense. And then COVID happens and they do it in front of nobody. And then Charlotte wins the NXT title, which, again, another problem. So let me ask you guys this. What if Shayna Baszler wins that Rumble? What if Charlotte Flair does not win the 2020 Women's Royal Rumble? And this is her first win. Are you guys happier or are you guys still as mad as you are? I think this becomes a little bit more palatable considering she's coming off what was considered maybe a career-threatening injury. She was out for over a year with a torn ACL. Like, she screwed up her knee pretty bad. So there's a lot of respect for Charlotte, but I think the consensus is she does get over pushed. And I think the reason why this Rumble win did not land very well with people like me, like I'm not as outrageous as a lot of other people, is because she won that match in 2020. And people seem to forget that I think there was absolutely, like, Io Sky, I could have made a case for, but I understand why they went with Charlotte. She's coming off an injury. She's the standard bearer in this division, and she's been really one of the big reasons why women's wrestling is where it's at today. So if she doesn't win the match in 2020, then this is probably a much easier discussion to have, and a lot of people are a lot happier about what transpired on Saturday at the Royal Rumble and that she won. And hopefully that they lean into her being a heel. Hopefully they have Tiffany Stratton win and beat her at WrestleMania, because that's where I think this is going. We're not going to get Rhea and Charlotte 3, even though I saw Rhea Charlotte 2 at WrestleMania 39, legitimately one of the best women's matches I've ever seen in my entire life. An outstanding wrestling match between those two. But I think we're having the wrong conversation here about Charlotte in that, okay, we're pissed off at her about winning this Rumble when maybe she didn't need it. Here's the problem. There wasn't really, like, outside of Io Sky, there really wasn't anybody else on the board. Back in 2020, Shayna Baszler was a clear-cut favorite because she was gonna go on and potentially face Becky Lynch. A lot of people thought she was gonna win until Becky got until there was rumors of Becky getting pregnant and a lot of stuff, and, like, there was a lot of things that happened in the build of that. It was a COVID mania. They didn't have Shayna's big win happening in front of fans. A lot of stuff changed. But Shayna should have won in 2020, absolutely. 8 eliminations and she lost? That didn't make any sense. Debut match as an NXT star, and then she goes in and they completely botch her build and they have her win the Elimination Chamber to get there. It was a really screwed up match, and then she just ends up losing to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania in front of nobody. So I just think that if the story was a little bit different and Charlotte hadn't had a Rumble win on their resume, this would have landed a whole hell of a lot better. And I think that people need to understand, okay, they were justified in making this pick and going to Charlotte. Yes, Charlotte is overpushed and she can find another way to get there, but had some other creative decisions been made 5 years ago, she doesn't have a second Rumble win in 5 years. That's why everybody's mad. She's got 2 Rumble wins in 5 years, and we've had, what, 8 of these? 8 of these Women's Royal Rumbles since it came into existence? That's really where the conversation is. So that's off the top rope for now. We'll have more coming here. A lot of great sports content. Thanks to everybody who subscribed. We're over 430, hoping to get to 500. That's a big number and a big milestone for this channel. So like, share, and subscribe here. Thank you so much, everybody. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.